Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Empower Her podcast. I hear this all the time from everyone around me is, when will I know I'm making the right decision? My clients ask me this, my friends ask me this, I've asked myself this. When will I know when I'm making the right decision? How do I know if I'm taking the right decision? Why can't the universe just send me a big ass sign and tell me that I'm doing the right thing? You know, I always say this, and I'm not embarrassed to admit, when I moved out, so I moved out at 22, I moved halfway across the world to Europe, and I was at a place where I would ask my mom for advice on literally everything, like what furniture piece to buy, what to do, literally everything. And the reason is because I didn't trust my instincts or my decisions. So what I really want to talk about in this episode is that, if you're someone that's waiting for a big cinematic moment where you'll know you made the right decision, something very clear is something to tell you to quit the job and the relationship, make a leap, right? I want to talk about, what it may actually look like in real life and how to actually make the right decision. And is there such a thing as the right decision? So, in society and just with the way we've grown up, we're so conditioned to need certainty, to wait for permission, right? We've been socialized in a way where we want to be sure of everything. Our brain is wired in a way to say it wants to have more information so that it can be certain of something. So oftentimes, because we're waiting for this nod, this permission, we often miss those small nudges around us that are actually guiding us in the right direction, right? And so, we're talking about that we've been taught to doubt our instincts, but I really want to talk about how we can rebuild that trust and how to actually recognize the signs that are already showing up. And I'm going to look at this from a spiritual and non-spiritual framework because I think it doesn't need to be spiritual, right? But of course we can add that element if we need to. So why do we crave these big signs? I sort of already touched on it, but we want control, right? Our brain, our body wants control. And, when we get these big signs, they feel clear, they feel safe, they feel absolute, and they sort of relieve us from the responsibility of making a quote unquote wrong choice, right? Because we've been taught not to trust ourselves through school, corporate life, or even our family systems. We were rewarded for logic and external validation over our intuition. Just imagine, anytime you did something right in school, you got a sticker. Oftentimes at home, if we get good grades, if we do good things, we are loved and we feel that love and attention. And again, that's just reinforcing that we're supposed to show up as other people are showing up. We're supposed to hit those milestones and set those goals and do those things that are set up in society. And, the thing is we also fear regret, right? Because a big sign, again, feels like insurance. It's proof that we made the right decision. But, the thing is that small decisions or even decisions that are right in the moment but change over time can also be great decisions, right? And so again, we want to feel like if we are making the wrong decision, it's not our fault, right? The universe told us, or we had a sign, or everything pointed towards that, versus listening to your intuition. And then again, it's not that there's wrong decisions. It could just be that maybe you made a decision that was right in the moment, but later down the line, you needed a different decision. You needed to pivot, right? So those are just some things to consider within that context. But honestly, and then another aspect we can add into this is for neurodivergent individuals, this feeling of needing a big sign of making the right decision gets even louder because so many neurodivergent individuals have spent years masking, second-guessing themselves, being told that their instincts are too much or wrong, right? And so because of this, we need this sign even more. But the truth really is you don't need to have that big sign in order to make a decision, right? Because here's the thing, is most transformation or decision making starts with some sort of discomfort, curiosity, or quiet knowing, right? And let's think about it this way, right? Let's give an example so you have a job that starts to feel heavy, right? And so you have these small moments where you're like, oh, I'm burned out here. Oh, my boss doesn't support me here. Oh, they're not letting me take my lunch break, right? It's those small things that are nagging at you. Another example is like a friend of yours who maybe drains your energy, right? Something you can't stop thinking about. You're like, oh, I just feel weird around this person. Or why do I always feel tired after coming home hanging out with this person, right? It may feel more quiet. It's not a big sign that's in your face, but those are signs. We just label them as anxiety or overthinking. And this is where it goes back to not trusting, our intuition. Another example is like you accept a job offer. I have so many clients that, are job searching and they accept a job offer and they're like, how do I know this is the right job? How do I know that this is the right opportunity for me, right? How do I know that there's not something better? And if you aren't sure if this is the right decision, like even though you've looked at it in every which way, it could be that we're just not looking at it from a perspective of your intuition of what's right for you. And you could be overthinking like, oh, but what if I don't like the company, or what if I don't like the job, or what if a better opportunity comes, right? And what I always tell everyone, and especially my clients in this situation, is it's always the right decision, right? Like if you accept a job offer, it's the right decision because you made that decision with the information you had in the moment, with your nervous system in the moment, with the logic you had in the moment, right? And so that is the right decision. Now, if you pivot, right? Like let's use this job analogy, you get a job offer, you accept, and let's say in 6 months, you decide you want to start searching for something else. Now, that doesn't mean that offer you accepted 6 months ago was wrong. It was right for you in the moment, but now you're at a point where you want to pivot. You have more information, right? You have more information. You have more information that your body's absorbed, so you can make a different decision. So, the thing is that we're not wired to trust ourselves, right? As I mentioned, our nervous system links safety to predictability. So the thing is when we sense change coming, our brain interprets it as danger, 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 instead of what it actually is, which is growth, right? And I've talked about this before on podcasts, like our nervous system hasn't evolved past the times when we were cavemen and we actually had to run away from danger like tigers or animals or people hunting us. So we actually haven't evolved past that. So our nervous system still thinks that change is actual danger, not growth. So we have to retrain our nervous system. And we also live in a culture that glorifies external authority, right? We're taught to defer to expert bosses, algorithms, and systems, not inner wisdom, right? And again, I absolutely do not want to discredit people, and I don't want to go into this like very political side to this because I think you all know how I stand. So I'm absolutely not saying that we shouldn't listen to our doctors, healthcare professionals, people around us. That is not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that sometimes we're making a decision for ourselves after we've gotten all the information, after we've had everything laid on the table for us, after we've kind of synthesized, can we then sort of listen to our inner wisdom and really understand what's there? And there are times when you don't know and you do need to ask for external help. This is where professionals come in, right? Again. But in general, when we're talking about day-to-day decisions, like we need to use our internal wisdom. And, women especially who are high achievers are trained to seek approval before action. And then we get neurodivergent women involved. They're praised for being good students, for not taking risks, for masking, for doing quote unquote what they're told. And then we get into this cycle of having women, and especially neurodivergent women, constantly feeling like they need approval, that they need approval before they can take action. So, and then when a gut feeling comes up, right, when our intuition comes up, we override it. Instead of listening to it, we go to Google or ChatGPT, or we ask a friend, or we pull a tarot card, or we look for signs, right? Like we do everything except listen to ourselves. And I'm guilty of this too. I had to literally the last few years completely retrain my nervous system, my brain, my body to start listening to my intuition. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it. I'm not, but it is 1,000 times better than it was. And because of that, I'm so much happier. And I also want to kind of talk about like what the small nudges can look like. So what are those small signs, if you will, or feelings or intuitive feelings or whatever it is that are actually going to show up for you in these situations. So small nudges aren't always comfortable. Sometimes it feels like restlessness, boredom, or a persistent thought that you can't shake. And it often comes in repetition. So if the same topic keeps showing up, the same advice from multiple people keeps coming up, the same idea keeps coming up in your head that won't leave you alone, that could be a small nudge. And sometimes the nudge shows up in your body. It could be tension, resistance, fatigue when you're in the wrong place. It could be lightness, curiosity. It could feel like expansion sometimes, but you want to see what you're feeling in your body. If you feel something different in your body than you normally do, that's a sign that it may be nudging you towards something. And nudges can also show up in creativity. So maybe you have a sudden urge to write, to create, or to change something small in your routine. Those are all small nudges. So it's more about paying attention and starting to pay attention to these quote unquote signs or these feelings around you, because they've probably been there all along. You just didn't notice them, right? And you just didn't always look at them as information, but they actually are. So let's talk about a couple steps on how you can start to rebuild trust with yourself and actually get to a place of seeing these signs and listening to your inner wisdom. So step one is to get quiet. Okay. So the thing is you cannot hear your intuition, your inner thoughts, your inner wisdom if you're constantly seeking input from everything and everyone else. So this is where you need to take breaks from social media, take breaks from other people's advice, take breaks from overanalyzing, take breaks from talking about all of your business to other people. Okay. Stop talking about it. I stopped doing this with people, especially when I was dating my husband. It was so interesting. I would always talk to everyone about my relationship, and I would overanalyze every single thing. And with my husband, I just had this knowing, and I was like, I just don't really want to talk about him to other people. Like, I talked about it, but I didn't really talk about it in detail or any issues that we were having. Not that we really were at the beginning, but I just didn't. And I just had this knowing, like, this was my person. This is the person I wanted to be with. Like, we had such a good relationship, and it was just this inner knowing. And I was able to feel that because I stopped overanalyzing it with every single person. Step two is to validate your own signals. So when you do get an intuitive hit, when you do get a feeling, when your body does, feel different or do something differently, focus on it, write it down, track it, and see how it plays out. Make notes. I think journaling is like the best way to see like how it's going to play out. Step three is to act small. So again, like I often think we have this impression that we need to like blow up our life in order to follow your gut, but you can just take one small aligned, even a micro action and see how it feels, right? Like maybe you're feeling like you want a new job, like you hate your job and you want a new job. Okay, can you just spend 5 minutes looking on LinkedIn for jobs? Can you just journal about what it would feel like to quit? Like just one micro step. Step 4, which is pretty much a step in every single steps guide I will ever give you, which is regulate your nervous system. If your nervous system isn't regulated, you will not be able to listen to your intuition because your body's focusing on survival mode. So self-trust grows when your body feels safe enough to take those small risks. So I always say pick a nervous system regulation tool that you enjoy, whether it's EFT tapping, meditation, breath work is super easy and can be really quick. Whatever it is, do it for 2 to 5 minutes in the morning, 2 to 5 minutes at night. Okay, if you do it consistently, guarantee you will feel the results. And step 5 is stop outsourcing your decisions. Okay, just stop asking other people what their thoughts are. Just make a decision. Notice how often you're trying to look for that reassurance and practice giving yourself the final word. Okay, so really start practicing making those decisions. And you can sort of reframe this to say, like, you're not waiting for a sign, you're waiting for permission, but you don't need permission to trust yourself, right? You don't need permission for that. So trust yourself and just practice making your own decisions. So I have a couple of journal prompts to leave you with. As always, I think these are super helpful. So if you want to write these down, pause me or write them down really quick. Okay, I'm going to go through them. I have 5 this week. So the first one is, what small nudges have I been ignoring or explaining away? Number 2 is, when have I known something in my gut before I could prove it? Number 3, what does my body feel like when something is right versus wrong? Number 4, where am I waiting for a big sign instead of taking a small step? And number 5, how can I start validating my own intuition this week? So I just want to close on saying that the big sign that you're waiting for may never come, but you don't need it. You already know what the answer is. Your body knows, your brain knows, your nervous system knows. Those nudges have been with you all along. You just have to start listening to them, listening to your body, and listening to those signs, and you will be able to make the right decision. Okay, if you love this episode, please don't forget to give a 5-star review. It really encourages me to make further episodes, and of course, subscribe if you haven't already. I hope y'all have an amazing week, and I'll catch you in the next episode.